You're listening to Live Wild Radio, the part-time adventure podcast.
Join us as we explore how outdoor adventures build mind, body, and spirit. Hey there, Catherine from Live Wild Radio. Welcome back. And I'm excited to get on about today's podcast with Winston. He went through a full body transformation and we're going to get right down to the nitty gritty. But before we do that, this is a perfect segue to talk about the tools, the gear that we had to get him there. And that's Great Lakes Gearia. So Great Lakes Gearia is a company here in Canada in our own community, but they ship to the Canada and to the US. With us, you can get 5% off with the promo code Live Wild, and you can get your kettlebells, your bars, your
maces,
chin-up bars, pull-up bars.
Yeah, their pull-up bar is pretty badass.
Yes, it's only $100 Canadian.
Yeah,
something like that. But
95 with your promo code.
Exactly,
and it's right over my office.
Yes.
So I just sort of stand up from my desk and do pull-ups.
That's right. So all you at-home workers, no excuse.
That's right.
But pretty much all your gym needs. So check it out. It supports the show. Meanwhile, gets you in great shape. Great products. We would only promote them unless they were great products. So check it out. It'll be in the show notes.
Yeah.
But let's talk about today's main attraction. It's you.
Oh, woo.
And I got to be careful because lately there have been quite a few women at customers coming by at work trying to pick you up because you've got some pretty good muscles going on there, and apparently it's noticeable.
Yeah, it's the Viking haircut combined with a little bit more muscle and a little bit less fat. So
we're gonna dive into it, and so what we're talking about is really outstanding. I've known Winston now for about 6 years. I've seen him work out, and the results of it certainly getting stronger when we're doing powerlifting. But now we're doing something called General Prepared Fitness. General
Physical Preparedness.
Okay. Well, I like mine acronym. It's a little easier to remember.
GPP.
Anyway, GPP. Anyways, so we're going to dive right into this because with Winston, I've seen, you're wearing now skin tight shirts at my recommendation and, it's getting you the noticeable, attention by others. Mm-hmm. So your muscles are popping out, you've lost weight, you've gotten shitload stronger mm-hmm. in what you can lift with kettlebells. So you tell me, you've coached people, you've worked out since you were 12, you're 51, mm-hmm. and why is this program really exciting for you?
So there's a couple of different avenues to it. I think part of the thing that I'm really enjoying with the programming I'm doing now is you're getting a lot of bang for your buck, right? Like when we just did the powerlifting, you got strong, but it didn't do a whole lot for your endurance. Mm-hmm. It didn't do a whole lot. It built muscle without a doubt. But with this, it's like building muscle, building work capacity, because you're doing a lot of work in a certain amount of time. You're burning a lot of calories. And because you're like working a little bit of recovery, then working again, a little bit of recovery, working again, you build this ability just to go like a machine.
Yeah, whereas before, when you were powerlifting, anything over 5 reps was cardio.
Yeah, that's sort of what we joked about. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and to put in perspective, you've powerlifted, you've had moments where you've just focused on powerlifting mm-hmm. and other times where you're into cycling. Yep. Right? So
for many years, yeah.
Yeah. And you had a bike shop and you trained people and,
I raced and everything, yeah.
Yeah. So fitness was probably the key focus, along with some strength training, but really fitness, would you say?
Well, endurance.
Yeah,
right?
Endurance.
Because it's an endurance sport and you're power on demand. Like you be able to climb hills and do hard efforts and recover. Yeah. Which is really building a big aerobic base, right? Is sort of the foundation of it all for any endurance sport.
Right.
And in a sense, being able to do a hard effort and recover, do a hard effort and recover, do a hard effort and recover, right? And in the beginning, maybe that's 4 hard efforts. And then as you build that capacity, it's 20, 30, 40, right? And in a sense, it's sort of the exact same thing I'm doing, but with strength training.
Combining the two.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you're increasing the amount of time you train is the same, right? It's a fixed amount of time, but the idea is to fit more and more work in that time, right? So as you get stronger, each set you do isn't as fatiguing, so you can do more sets. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you're a nerd when it comes to all this stuff. So why now? Why did you just discover this now versus not just in the past?
It's not even discovering it now. I guess as far as the getting leaner part, that was just switching my lunch to salad with chicken.
What were you having before?
I would have.
So nutrition was huge.
Yeah, like I would get pizza. I would get whatever, whatever was convenient to get at work, right? I joke like a big chunk of this has to do with living with you now.
We moved in together. Yeah. Update. I don't think the people know that.
Oh, maybe we mentioned
it's been a while. Anyway.
But the fact that we have like more consistent nutrition, right? We're always eating home cooked meals. We go out every now and again, but
yeah.
That part, having something to take for lunch, and making it salad with chicken or salad with tuna, it's like protein and vegetables. Mm-hmm. And overall I'm getting less calories in, necessary for losing body fat, getting a lot of protein in, and because when you eat a mixing bowl full of salad for lunch every day, mm-hmm. you're not hungry, right? So you're not snacking, or I'm not snacking.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. As far as the fat loss part was just that little tweak.
Well, let's continue on that. Because you have this general principle about how much protein you should have in a day.
Yep. 1 gram per pound of body weight.
Yeah. So that can be a lot. Like how much do you weigh now?
Like 215.
Yeah. And you lost how much?
From January, like last year, or I guess technically this year, 2022. I was 240.
Yeah.
And down to 215.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's significant. And then plus you feel like you've built muscle because you can do more.
Yeah. And it's very obvious.
Well, there is such the thing too of, you lose the fluff and you can see your muscles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. But
I think with me, because I've been doing so much like clean and press, the traps in the shoulders.
Yeah.
Right. That's where you really see it.
Yeah, that is true. Because you always had big legs, like, thighs and hamstrings and all that. Quads, basically. Not thighs, but quads. But it's your arms and shoulders and everything that really bulked out. Yeah. Yeah. Which, should be popular with some. Yeah. Because usually, isn't that the most popular exercise that people do in the gym is the bench? Because they want to bench press. Cause they wanna,
the arms and the pecs.
Yeah. So kettlebells. Yeah. But it takes time. And you started off, so let's switch back into the strength now. So when we first, just for perspective, got kettlebells around the pandemic, the beginning of it, what could you do with 2? Because that's what your workouts consist of primarily.
Yeah, like so I was doing, I started off doing singles with a pair of 24s. Right, like I do 10 sets of 1.
Okay, actually, I'm even take you even further back, just because for people who may want to get into this and we can show the progression. Mm-hmm. So single kettlebells, I think we got you a 30 pound, right, or 35?
We had
the first one, just kettlebell swings.
The first one we had was a 45 pound or a 20 kilo. Okay. When we only had 1 kettlebell,
really,
we had it's 44 pounds. Yeah. 20 kilos.
And that's the one I want to go to, and you won't let me.
No, you have to use the bigger ones.
At least.
And that one, I had a hard time pressing. Now, I was coming back from a shoulder injury.
Right.
But, I could press it maybe twice, 20 kilos.
And that's what you started at?
Yeah, like when we started training in the apartment.
Yeah.
Like with kettlebells. Like I was doing a lot of push-ups. I wasn't doing a lot of overhead pressing because I couldn't do very many reps with it.
Okay.
Right. My right arm was okay, but my left arm was just weak as shit.
Yeah.
You know.
Interesting.
And now, obviously, we're talking like 2 years later.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like doing in a workout in half an hour, maybe doing 60 reps with a pair of 24s. You know, and like when we started, like basically
clean and press.
Yeah.
So what that is for folks who don't know, a clean is basically bringing it up to your shoulders.
Yep. And then the press is straightening your arms over your head.
Press over your head.
Yep.
So you're doing 2 of those.
With a kettlebell.
With a pair.
Yeah, a kettlebell in each hand. So it's like 104 pounds, a pair of 24s.
104 pounds with kettlebells, which are harder than even
dumbbells. Yeah.
Right.
Because they're off balance.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's running into the thing where when I started at the beginning of June this year, I did a test and I could do just presses, not clean and press, but I was just testing how much I could press 8 reps.
Okay.
With the 24s.
Okay.
And at the end of August, I could do 16.
Wow.
So I doubled it.
Yeah.
In 3 months.
And was it because the program you were on, you got newbie gains from that kind of dynamic program and like just very different?
I think so. But also I've been working on clean and press in one way or another, like doubles.
Yeah.
For a couple years.
Yeah.
Right.
But did you have that kind of progress before too, where you were doubling over?
No. But this was the first time where I was doing clean and press in some variation 3 times a week. Right. So
okay.
Normally I would do it like twice, and I wasn't doing this much volume.
Okay.
Right. Like, you know, when you read the article about this, it was like Monday, I did half an hour of do a set of clean and press, do a set of front squats, like double kettlebell front squats. Mm-hmm. Repeat it as many times in half an hour as you can do. And as you get stronger, you get more times in the half an hour. Wednesday was just clean and press on its own. And then Friday was just a different rep scheme of clean and press and front squats. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, basically 3 times a week, I was putting, you know, a pair of 52-pound kettlebells over my head repeatedly. And for that program, it was all strict pressing, no legs. Right. So obviously you use your legs to clean it up.
Right.
Your shoulders.
Yeah.
But the presses were strict.
Right.
You know.
Is that harder to do than when you do the semi-squat press?
Oh, yeah. Way harder. Right. Because there's no legs.
That's interesting. I did a variation. I think this is kind of neat. So I found out when we did an MRI on my spine, I've got severe degeneration in my neck. And so along my spine. But anyways, the point is that you helped me get around that. I still can't just lift because I stopped doing my Russian squat. What's that called again? The kettle.
Double kettlebell.
The Turkish get up.
The Turkish get up. Yeah.
Yeah, where you eventually bring it up over your head. Mind you, that was only with 30 pounds, but nevertheless, I stopped doing that stuff. So I do it half kneeling. Yeah. So one leg kneeled down, the other one up, right? And then you just do it that way. So it's a different way to do a press. That's actually harder, you were saying. Yeah,
so you don't use as much weight. So there's not as much weight on your spine.
So it's just interesting how you have the variations to affect presses, right?
Yeah, because you can do full kneeling, like basically both knees on the ground. You can do half kneeling.
Is it even easier or harder?
Harder. Half kneeling. Basically, full kneeling is the hardest. Well, actually, technically the Z press, which is you're sitting on your bum on the floor.
Really?
That's the hardest. You know.
Yeah, because you have nothing.
Yeah.
And are you saying that when I do a half kneeling press, I have a slight bit of momentum helping me?
No, but you're getting more core engagement and everything. Like you're pushing from a more stable platform.
Oh, okay.
You can picture trying to sit on your butt with your legs straight up.
Platform,
Yeah. It's like you're pushing off of marshmallows. Right?
Isn't
Like,
that interesting? Just different. I just think that topic alone is just kind of neat.
Yeah.
Different variations of a press.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you can always get into bottom up presses with a kettlebell. So you're holding it where the bottom of the kettlebell is facing the ceiling rather than having the kettlebell resting on your back of your forearm.
Yeah.
And that's another harder variation.
And I know we're sidetracking here a little bit, but with that issue with my neck, if I use blood flow restriction bands,
Yeah.
that'll add more of an effect on the training of my muscles.
Yeah. With lighter weight.
With lighter weight. But the fact that it's reducing oxygen to my muscles, does that affect how tired they are, and therefore it causes a risk to my neck?
No.
No? Okay.
Because you're
So
not
then-
restricting your neck.
No, I know that,
It's
but
just
I
your
wasn't
arm.
sure if it then creates less of a foundation. Do you know what I mean? For
No, because
supporting my neck.
No, because
protecting it.
basically the blood flow is happening in your arms.
Okay.
So that's not going to affect.
But you think it's harder now. Do you know what I mean? And I just wonder
Well,
if
it's
that
just-
adds more stress to my neck.
No, because you're making it harder on your arms,
Okay.
right? So again, you need less weight. So the weight is transferring to the spine. So the less weight you have to get the same training effect, the less load there is going to be on the spine.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas what I'm doing, which is 2 kettlebells overhead at the same time, it is going to put more load on your spine.
Yeah.
Not as much as a barbell.
Yeah.
But because your body, when you're putting 2 up at the same time, you can't sort of move around and twist a little bit to find the right groove. So it's all loading, symmetrically.
So were you surprised? Are you surprised by these results?
Yes and no. What I was surprised by how easy it was.
Oh, yeah. To get them?
Yeah. Because none of my workouts were like brutally hard.
Because how long were they? Usually 30 minutes?
30 minutes.
Hear that out. Listen to that 30 minutes.
Yeah, like if you look at
Yeah.
the printout or the article about the program, my long days, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, were 30 minutes. And then Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday were 20 minutes.
Nice.
So we're talking 2.5 hours total per week.
Yeah. And I'm like, so, what's the word? Lazy?
Yeah.
So anything that's like low and
Well, the thing
time
that
and
was
effort.
great, it wasn't super hard. It was work,
yeah.
right? But it felt like manual labor.
And so what kind of heart rate did you have in your hardest workouts versus, your other workouts?
Yeah, because I wasn't doing big complexes. Like the most I was doing on my days where I was doing like 7 front squats, that's what would get my heart rate up. And it was still only getting it up to like 150.
Right.
But when you're doing, like 7 front squats with like 104 pounds
Holy shit.
repeatedly,
I'm surprised it wasn't higher.
right? Then, you'd recover enough to be able to do your clean and press. And then you'd have to recover a bit, and then you do another set of front squats. So
Right.
at the beginning of the workout, the heart rate wasn't that high.
Right.
But,
of course.
I would get up into the low 150s.
Yeah.
So it definitely was going above my aerobic zone,
Yeah.
which is different than what I'm doing now, but that's a whole different series of articles. And,
Okay. Yeah.
Because I sort of did a 3-month phase.
Right.
Then September was a fucking write-off because I fell down the stairs because of your evil children. And then I got COVID.
Yeah.
So then it was like October, we started back into a different program,
Yeah.
And I didn't lose anything, which I was happy about,
Yeah.
right?
So for those 3 months, the program that you're just talking about, or that you have in the article, did you do that for 3 months straight with deload weeks? Or did you?
So I actually ended up, technically I started it in May,
Okay.
And life gives you deload weeks, right? We went on a couple of trips. There's just different things happen. So you end up with your, I didn't have any planned deloads in there.
Yeah.
But I still ended up with some, so it's just some where, I couldn't get every workout done in a week because we were going away that weekend.
Yeah.
Or, whatever. Different things sort of interfere a little bit. So the full program took me 3.5 months, to execute because, you ran into the thing where there was a little bit here, a little bit there. So it kind of, ended up with essentially a couple of deload weeks.
So were you doing the same workouts each week after a week after a week and you just saw the progressions, or did you change up?
So for 6 weeks, it was the same workouts.
Okay.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday were escalating density, right?
What's that?
So basically you pick an exercise or two, set a timer, and get as much good quality work. So we're not chasing high heart rates or anything like that. We're just trying to get as many high quality sets with good form as you can get in the half an hour.
Right.
And then the next time you do it, you try to get a couple more reps, or an extra round or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then next time, and just gradually, as you get stronger, the amount of work or density that you get in that set period of time will increase.
Right. Got it.
And so that was my only progression I had programmed in.
Yes.
Sort of the progression that
natural.
came.
Yeah.
But then after 6 weeks, when I sort of did the second phase, like the second 6 weeks, it was the exact same program, but instead of in the beginning, it was sets of 3 in the clean and press, and 5 in the front squat. Then in the second, it was sets of 5 in the front squat and 5 in the clean and press. So I just upped the number of reps per set.
Right.
Right. So it's a little bit more demanding.
And were those escalating density as well?
Yeah, exactly the same. I just changed the amount of reps.
Yeah. So you're constantly, as you said, seeing progression from just that.
Yeah.
But
and if you had a bad day, sometimes you actually didn't get as many reps as you did. It's never perfect.
Yeah.
Like a linear progression.
Right.
But as your body adapted, you were just able to get more work in.
Yeah.
So
you did that for the next 6 weeks.
Yep. So the backbone of the program was exactly the same for the whole 12 weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
The difference, is sort of small parameters where it was like the second 6 weeks, I upped the number of reps per set I was doing, but the exact same weight, the exact same movements.
Yeah.
And just kept plugging away.
So would you say out of all the training you've done, this is the one that you saw the most significant increase in strength? And the nutrition's another thing.
Yeah.
Right. That's separate.
Because that sort of would tie into the aesthetic
like the weight
part.
loss is another thing. It's a combination of calories in, calories burned. Right. But for your strength.
Yeah, I would say strength and overall, work capacity, endurance, speed, right? Because when you're doing explosive movements, because on my off days, when I wasn't doing, cleans require a lot of hip snap, right? And then on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, I was doing either swings or snatches, right, which are explosive as well. So essentially, I was doing some type of ballistic, which is like an explosive movement, 6 days a week. So that makes a big difference because you're using those fast twitch fibers. And it's kind of like when you did the 10,000 swing challenge, just with more variety.
Yeah.
Right? Because you were doing it 5 days a week, but same idea.
Yeah.
But I was just doing more. I was doing cleans, swings, and snatches.
Yeah.
In a week.
Yeah.
right?
No, and I appreciated that because that, aside from my eating, which was the keto diet, right? I lost 10 pounds immediately. And then through that, the 10,000 kettlebell swing challenge, I think I lost 15, something like that. So it put me on this massive trajectory for fitness. And then of course, once you lose weight, increase strength and fitness, you're just like unstoppable at that point. And I noticed it because it was perfectly timed for the spring. Because we got on our bikes and I was like, I can't believe how agile I feel.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. And
the being lighter, even though we're in a world where fat's beautiful and all that kind of jazz,
we should have a separate podcast on that topic.
Yeah. Well, because excuse me, the reality comes in as anybody who's ever been overweight and then has lost weight, when you're lighter, you feel better, unless you lost that weight from cancer or something,
Yeah.
Like basically when you were like sort of at your lightest.
Oh, yeah.
You felt the best you'd probably felt in 20 years.
Oh, for sure. Even more. Right. And then I can, I'm comfortable saying this. I gained like almost 25 pounds. So I'm not back, I'm not at my lightest. And now I'm back on the keto diet today and got my mojo back at least a little bit for the working out.
Yeah. Life
happened. I had a death in the family and we had to move and all this stuff. So, but getting back on track and, so I appreciate the difference for sure. Mm. And, we went riding yesterday and I'm like, I've come out of retirement and my fitness sucks. Like I am using the slowest gear all the time because I'm like, last year, even last year was better. Like I'd be in one of the highest gears going up hills and stuff like that because it was so easy.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's the thing. You're just carrying more weight up the hills.
Yeah.
And then you don't have the same fitness behind it. So it seems just like when you're lighter, and part of the way you got lighter was a lot of training. So you're moving less mass around it with a more fit engine. You're right now the other way.
And I'm going to say, like, I've done a lot to protect my knees because I have osteoarthritis. And but I'm even running into having freaking, like, injuries from doing nothing, like twice already. Like in the summertime, I was sitting down.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden my knee started to seize my leg. I couldn't bend it or straighten it. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And you put the K tape on it and that helped tremendously. But I was worried because I had to be in the next week in the US, right? I'm like, I can't walk right now.
You'd be like one of those dapper people with a cane.
No, it was brutal. And then recently it was my ankle.
Yeah.
And I did nothing. Okay, I started to feel it.
Welcome to the
we're aging.
Second half of your life.
As you're saying, right? You're getting older. And it's like, so this whole thing about being beautiful at any weight, it's not even about being beautiful. It's about being healthy.
Yeah.
Right?
And
I am strong, I still have the muscles there.
Yeah.
Actually, I got some compliments when I was working out at the gym in the US, like with my college. Like, I'm like, really? There's something still showing? You should have seen me last year.
Yeah.
No boobs, just pecs.
Yep.
Anyways. Yeah. So that whole idea, that premise is bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
I wish they'd stop that.
Yeah. Like because the whole thing of we shouldn't be mean to people who are overweight. Although when I'm overweight, you all have permission to be mean to me. I find it motivating. But it's one of those things where by getting lighter, stronger, fitter, more endurance, more mobility, like all of these things, everything in your life is better.
Yeah.
Right. And I got to say, like having a partner like Catherine, that she doesn't get all like insecure when other women are hitting on me.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think it's cute.
It just validates she made a good choice. She said, it's like, hey, he's a diamond in the rough. And it's like, it's like, I had to wait for you to start looking good, but there we go.
So where do you want to go with it? Like as far as your let's talk about your weight. Your weight, for example.
Yeah.
Like, what's your target? Do you have a goal?
Yeah, like I think because climbing and mountain biking,
Yeah.
I can be good and strong at 190 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so that's still like 25 pounds lighter than I am now.
Yeah.
I look at the thing that I can be there, still be really strong. But I just naturally climbing and pedaling my bike up a hill, the less weight I've got on me, as far as I still got enough fat I can lose, that I could drop that without having to shed a bunch of muscle mass. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of my long-term target. Is that 190?
Didn't you say something like your goal is to be stronger?
Yeah,
than most climbers
no, it's to have more endurance than most climbers, have more strength than most endurance athletes, and more endurance than strength athletes.
Yeah.
Right? It's to be a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to be the strongest. I don't want to have, be the fastest on a bike or have the most endurance, because any of the best in any category,
sport specific training,
means you have to give up other qualities. Right?
Yeah.
So I like the thing of being able to go, yeah, I can climb 5'9", 5'10", right? I'm not going to climb 5'12", 5'13". Like that would require like whole dedication only doing that, right? It's the same thing of being able to race O-Cup mountain bike races, Ontario Cup, and finish in the top 10. Well, then that's all I'm training for, right? Winning a powerlifting competition, well, that's all I'm training for. Whereas with this, I can be pretty strong, look pretty good at the beach, be pretty healthy, be pretty good at any of the sports I want to do, right? And that's where the concept of general physical preparedness over specific physical preparedness comes in.
Yeah.
Think of it as like, if you think about like a fighter, right? The qualities a fighter needs, you need to be pretty strong. But you also have to have really good endurance so you don't get gassed. And you got to be pretty fast.
I was just going to ask you if there were specific sports out there that combine these principles, and you'd say that would be one of them. Yeah.
Or a rugby player.
Football?
Football's more on the pure power side because plays are only like 10, 15 seconds long.
Rugby.
Rugby goes nonstop. Fighting goes nonstop, whether it's jiu-jitsu or mixed martial arts. If you were like a firefighter, right? Law enforcement, special forces, it all... anything where you got to be ready for anything, that's what this type of training gives you. Right? And then if you add in a little bit of low intensity, steady state cardio, right? Dragging a sled, rucking with a pack on, bike riding, so that you've got a good, endurance base there.
Yeah.
Combined with what you get from the training, the strength training. And I hate to just call it strength training because the way that I structure it, I'm getting a lot of...
It's not just strength training.
I'm getting a lot of conditioning out of it as well.
Is there a name for that kind of training?
We just call it kettlebell training.
Yeah. CrossFit's not that.
No, because CrossFit, you're getting gassed. It's multimodality, CrossFit, but there's a lot more...
maximal effort. Or at least in the gym, that tends to be what it is.
Yeah, like a lot of chasing the clock.
Yeah.
Right? And now one could argue, like if you had the right mindset or the wrong mindset, if you want to think of it, escalating density could be treated that way.
That's true.
But because I put the caveats on it, that it has to be high quality reps, not half-assed reps, not bad form, right? You're not just cheating the reps.
For the numbers, yeah.
Yeah, for the numbers. It's like it has to be high quality practice every time, right? And you never hit failure. So you have to give yourself enough rest in between. And sometimes you'll screw up. Like it's not like the world's going to explode if you misjudged it. But the idea, like I always put those parameters on it, right? So that it's quality.
Yeah.
Because you want to have as much quality practice as you can fit in. And then as you get fitter, you can fit more quality practice in.
Which is good for the folks who don't like getting gas, and don't like getting a kick in the stomach or I say that. And I started doing the escalating density training recently. I think I've been doing it for about almost 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. 2 weeks, I think pretty consistently, only 3 days a week.
Yep.
And which I'm just to get started. I'm just trying to get back into it. And already I've seen week over week out of my two out of my 3 workouts. Well, all of the workouts I'm increasing the amounts of reps that reps I'm getting, not reps, but
sets or whatever you want to call it. The amount of work you're doing. Yeah,
that I'm getting in. But some weeks are at least maybe 20%, over 10% anyway. That's a lot, consistently. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But that's newbie gains.
Yeah.
Right? Which is interesting again, because I was super tired at the beginning, right? Doing them.
Yeah.
Because we're pretty fatigued and exhausted. So to get that kind of a gain so quickly is pretty motivating.
Yeah.
If it should be, I hope that at least inspires people.
Yeah.
To try something new.
And it's the thing that I like with these is that it's simple full body workouts. One day is clean and press and front squats. The next day is one arm kettlebell swings and Turkish get-ups. Each workout works your whole body.
Yeah.
Not the way a bodybuilding workout would, where you're doing, your quads and you're this and you're that. Everything's done individually. But if you do a clean and press and a front squat, you're hitting every muscle in your body.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is good.
And then when you do swings and Turkish get-ups, you're hitting every muscle in your body. You're running into the thing. Obviously, some muscles hit harder than others do, right? When you do swings and get-ups versus cleans and front squats or, snatches, hit everything as well. But they're not all hitting every muscle exactly the same, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. So it's why I can train full body every day. But because some days have more emphasis on certain muscles than others do, mm-hmm. you can do it every day, and it's an easy day for your pecs. Yeah. And a hard day for your glutes, or whatever.
Yeah. And how do you find recovery? How do you manage that? And I know you just talked about how you alternate a little bit, but nevertheless, it's work.
Yeah. But part of what it is 3 of the days of the week is just doing the same workout, same weight, same reps. Right? My swings and Turkish get-ups and my snatches are the same amount of work.
So every minute on the minute?
Yep.
Okay.
And then the thing
I like those. You get to rest.
Yeah. But the advantage, and say with snatches, I do 5 snatches and then I have the rest of the minute to rest.
Yeah.
Right. So 5 snatches takes me about 12 seconds. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's not like I'm spending 30 seconds and then I get 30 seconds rest.
Yeah.
I'm resting way more on my snatch workout. I'm resting way more than I'm working, mm-hmm. so that I can have real high quality reps.
Yeah.
Because snatches are explosive, right? You're going from the floor to straight overhead in one go. Mm-hmm. And, doing that with a 24 kilo kettlebell, if you don't, there's no way to muscle it, right? You've got to have that hip drive. So you want to make sure every one is like a gun going off, mm-hmm. Bang, you're reversing that backswing and snapping it overhead. Mm-hmm. So those aren't that demanding, but they hit those fast twitch fibers nicely, right? Same thing with the swings. Because they're almost like punching the clock workouts, right? Because I'm not increasing the amount I'm doing each week.
Right.
They're added workload, but the way I know I'm progressing with them is not that I'm doing more.
Heart rate?
Yeah, it just keeps getting lower and lower.
Yeah.
Right? from week to week.
Yeah.
Right. It's becoming, in a sense, less stress on my body each week I do it.
Yeah, and you also wear a heart rate monitor belt because it's more precise.
Yeah. Plus, I don't have my watch on because if I'm doing kettlebells,
It bangs on them.
Yeah, I don't want to crush my watch. Because cleans and presses, basically the bell sitting where my watch does. So that combination, I'm just running into the thing where obviously the thing that gets hit the hardest each week is my shoulders. I'd say my shoulders and my butt, right? Because clean, swings, and snatches all hit the hamstrings and butt, right? I've got 2 days a week with squats, 2 days a week with Turkish get-ups, and Turkish get-ups have a lunge kind of component to them, but I'm only doing 5 per side, right? So it's getting things moving, but it's not super stressful. The thing that's getting the most, fatigue on them is my shoulders.
Yeah. Now you take a lot of Epsom salt baths.
1 a week.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh.
I only ever do it on Mondays when I'm off.
Oh, okay. That's true. Anyway.
And sometimes I get massages.
And sometimes not.
Yeah. And a lot of hanging. Like we've got an inversion table. Mm-hmm. So we hang upside down by our feet, and then we hang from the pull-up bar.
Yeah.
We do that quite a bit, and that's good for...
That's especially good for your lower back.
Yeah, and then the hanging from the pull-up bar is good for your shoulders.
Yeah.
And, a lot of mobility work every day.
But when you're going back to the bath thing, because I find that really helps my my lower back lately and anyways. Do you sink right in so your shoulders are actually getting the heat?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then it's one of those things.
Oh, let me just explain this because I didn't understand this before. So Epsom salts are magnesium.
Yeah.
And the reason why the bath is the way it works is that your body absorbs the magnesium. And alternatively, you can take magnesium pills. They're good. Like it's one of the low-hanging fruit that
as
you
far
can
as
take.
Supplements go, yeah.
Yeah, if your muscles are achy and stuff. How quickly will that relieve your muscle achiness as, in comparison to a hot bath? A hot bath seems immediate to me.
Yeah.
Because it's both the heat.
And you're getting them.
Yeah. So how, if you could equate one from the other.
Well, basically.
One to the other, I mean.
From a speed standpoint,
yes.
There is no equation. Like it takes a number of days for it to build up in your system when you're taking it as a supplement.
Yeah.
There's just a relaxing effect when it's being absorbed through the skin.
Yeah. It's immediate.
Yeah. And that's a combination of both the Epsom salts and the heat.
Yeah.
Right.
And you also do quite a bit of mobility every day.
Yeah.
I think it's important because I see the difference in myself as well. Because what's been happening to me is even when I went for a bike ride, especially probably because I'm not as conditioned to it, like even an easy bike ride, my quads would seize up after.
Yeah.
And then it would bother me. And then if I did nothing, on the days that I would actually stretch, but take a bath, it actually made a really big difference.
No, it does.
So I think that's
the mobility is such a big thing. Like, and what that is a combination of like dynamic stretching, like moving through a joint through a full range of motion, and then static stretching combined, right? Like if you got something sticky, rocking, crawling, like different types of spine rotations, basically at the hips, or upper thoracic rotations for your upper back, head nods. All of these different types of movements kind of free your body up.
Yeah, release the tension.
Big, wide lunges, like side to side, forward and back.
2 minute. And when you do stretches, holding them for extended periods of time, like 2 minutes.
Yeah. Get a mild stretch, right? You don't want it painful, but a mild stretch and hold it for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You only have to do it once, per session, but it makes a big difference.
Remembering also after a workout to calm down because of your nervous system, right? Is it your nervous system?
Yeah.
It's all amped up and your stress hormones are all high and They won't come down unless you...
Some slow, deep breathing.
Yeah.
You know, flick the switch.
Yeah.
Because like when you're in training mode, you're like, let's go.
Yeah, my inner gangsta comes out.
Catherine's playing gangster rap in the basement.
It's the only time I listen to it.
You know.
It's when I do my workouts.
But yeah, like
it's how angry I am.
Yeah, and I think one of the other big things that really helps with recovery is just getting adequate sleep. You know, the fact like we go to bed at usually 9:30.
Lately, yeah, because we are tired, but that's the workouts are doing that.
You know, and then you get a good night's sleep.
I actually find that I sleep deeply and sometimes even less hours.
You know.
I've noticed that.
Yeah. You know, but that's the whole thing. Like we try to keep our room cool, dark, quiet.
I wear a night mask.
You know. We have a fan on. I find the white noise, aside from the extra cooling the fan gives me, I find the noise of the fan.
You like that?
You know, it's just kind of white noise in the background.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether we had like a little waterfall or, you know, the fan or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I find that helps too. And that's really, you know, if anybody was to take a big takeaway from this, right, I would say your minimum effective dose is 3 30-minute workouts.
Yeah.
You know, and if you want them to be highly effective, and I have to watch how I say this, just because double kettlebell movements are advanced movements, right? Double cleans, double presses, double front squats, double swings, any of that type of stuff. It's more any of the ballistics, the swing, the clean, the snatch, all require a certain level of coordination, right? You know, it took you a while to learn how to do a swing well and what have you, because it's fast, right? Mm-hmm. So you got to get everything done in the right order, you know, very quickly. Now your swings look like a machine, but you've got how many thousands in the tank?
Well, at least 10.
Yeah. You know, so
what did they say? You got to do things 10,000
times. Well, you got that in a month. But if you think of it from the standpoint of
but you want to make sure you're doing them right when you do
right.
the 10,000 because you could hurt yourself.
Yeah. But any ballistic movements, right? And this is whether it's Olympic barbell weightlifting, right? The clean and jerk and the snatch, or ballistic kettlebell lifting, you know, swings, cleans, and snatches, or jerks. They're all advanced movements, right? And so it's one of those things where you need to go through that whole learning process to learn how to do them before you can do them hard, right? And you need to learn them to do one arm at a time before you can do two at a time. But the advantage of double kettlebell is it's twice as much load on your body at once, right? And you're working both sides at the same time, so you don't have to... It takes half the time.
Yeah, and massive. That's true. That is a big time saver.
You know, but there's a systemic heavier load
on your core.
Yeah, because I'm having to support twice as much weight. And so that's basically, if you've never worked double kettlebells before, I don't recommend you do this.
Right.
Keep it in your back pocket, you know, in your little... Because if you're not somebody who does this already, keep a file folder. Like, print off programs, right? So you go, oh, okay, maybe I'll get to this someday, right?
Yeah.
Because you do run into the thing where any ballistics, right, any fast movements, you can screw up. Because, hell, people can screw up doing slow movements, right? People get hurt doing deadlifts and squats all the time. And they're not fast, they're grinds. But if you screw up a fast movement, right, then you screw up quicker. And it's easier to learn them one arm at a time. And then there's another step to putting them together, right? So that's a caveat I do want to put out. Because you've been training with kettlebells for 2 years. And when you did do some double kettlebell stuff...
Oh, it wasn't easy.
No.
I remember I was like wobbling and And then I got into a certain level of fitness, probably after the 10,000 kettlebell swing challenge, really amped my fitness and strength and everything.
Yeah.
I think after that, I started doing Turkish get-ups, and then on a consistent basis, because the heaviest I got with that was 30 pounds.
36.
36 over my head.
Yeah.
And then I had the coordination.
Yeah.
To do them. Yeah, it was interesting. It's very interesting. So for folks who are not there yet but want to reap the same benefits or apply the same principles, what are some examples of workouts that include strength and cardio that they can do?
Well, you could basically, it's just change the movements. Because, like, let's say you've learned how to do a two-hand swing. One kettlebell, both hands on it, right? You can do that.
Yeah.
If you were to do one day, and you want a pretty challenging swing weight, but sets of 10 swings, 5 push-ups for half an hour.
Just the two.
That's a pretty fucking good workout right there.
Every minute on the minute?
No.
Oh, escalating density.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is. Because if people don't realize, obviously you're going to do everything good quality, but
it
the swings will get you.
It creeps up on you.
It sure does.
And let's say,
for me, it's the squats.
Well, but that's the thing is your
squats.
other day, your B day, if we sort of do it as like an A-B workout, your B day would be either pull-ups or body rows and goblet squats.
Yeah. Is there a C day?
Nope.
Just those two?
You have a hinge and a push, a squat, and a pull.
Yeah. Yeah, so the goblet squat, whether you have a kettlebell or use a dumbbell, works. What if you don't have kettlebells or you're not there yet? You're not comfortable with that.
Well,
what can you use as a ballistic? What else could you do? Anything with TRX or
not a ballistic. A ballistic's going to be a jump.
A jump?
So
box jumps maybe?
Yeah, step down. Like jump up but step down. And this is all talk to your doctor, make sure your knees are healthy. Like I would never program jumps for you.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I like about the kettlebell swing.
No impact.
It gives you the explosive training of jumping without the impact.
So, of course, you'll have the physiotherapists or chiropractors who, aren't fans of kettlebells.
Yeah, but
swinging.
The thing
I throw that in there because you hear that.
Yeah.
The people are like, what?
But it runs into one of those things where Stuart McGill, who's like the world's foremost spine rehab expert, he is a fan of the kettlebell swing. That and the suitcase carry. So, I'll listen to him before I'll listen to a bunch of, physiotherapists that think anything you do.
Well, you're always going to get people on both sides of the camp, right?
Well, my view is just make your whole body stronger, right? If something hurts, don't do it. Like common sense.
Yeah.
Right? But nobody gets better by
doing nothing.
Babying their body, like, that everything's going to make you explode.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, if you do that, your back will explode. It's like, my back hasn't exploded yet.
Yeah, well, the point is that you've done things in baby steps. So, okay, so on that note, what kind of shape do you... It's kind of like, you're of a certain age or older. You don't just go start running again just because you used to run. No. Like, you really need to realize that there's a foundation, You don't go from sitting on your butt all day working and then start running. So... Before somebody picks up a kettlebell to start swinging it, right, just to get into it, are there certain things you want to make sure they can pass? Yeah,
you want to be able to do a kettlebell deadlift, right? With basically achieve the two positions, right? The hinge and the standing plank. And so we work.
What's the standing plank?
Where you're standing,
right?
Think of the top of a swing.
Okay.
It's a standing plank. Your abs are braced. Your butt's tight.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
You're swinging into it.
Yeah.
Not just holding it there like that.
No, but the top position. Like really, if you think of the swing, it's two positions. The hinge, the standing plank. and all you're doing is violently going from one to the other.
Right.
You know. And so I find if we work with people to get them good at those two positions, right? Then the in-between, you know, as long as they start a swing properly with a hike pass, right? The bell's on the floor in front of you, and you hike it back between your legs to start it, like you're
dragging it.
Or you're hiking a football as a way to start rather than some weird, like, humping the kettlebell thing that some people do to start swinging it.
Oh, really? And don't use your arms. You're using your hips to thrust it.
Yeah, you're using your pelvis to project it forward.
Right.
You know, so there's a lot of little and quite honestly, one of the best things anybody can do is find yourself either an RKC or Strong First certified kettlebell instructor in your area and take a couple of classes, right? You know, and then when you want to learn, you don't have to go to there all the time, right? Because
just check your form.
Yeah, it's like learn the swing, learn the Turkish get-up, learn the press, right? And then a few months later, go back and learn the clean, you know, and maybe a clean and maybe you work on the snatch.
Did you see kettlebells at the gym when we went there?
Which gym?
Crunch.
Yeah.
Huh. We never used them.
I remember we did. I was using doubles for swings because they only went up to 35 pounds.
Really?
Yeah.
That's useless.
Yeah.
That's surprising, actually, for a gym. Just goes to show how unpopular they are.
You know. Well, it's that they had
really
remember it was in the group fitness area, right? Like that. They're high intensity.
That's terrible, though. Why would you? Oh, maybe when they were doing circuits. Cause that's not the kind of thing you want a whole group of people doing at the same time. Like, there is going to be, like, you want to watch people. Yeah. If you're leading a group.
Well, that's the responsible way to do it.
Well, fuck yeah.
But you've seen mainstream fitness.
Yeah, I know.
Do any of them do it responsibly?
I don't know.
You know. Yeah. You know, so it's one of those things where having basically a little foundation, and then you build, right? And then you reach a certain point, and maybe you go back for a couple of lessons, right? And then you add to your skills, and and that I find is a really effective way for people. And, it depends on what type of learner you are, too. Like Mark Wildman's, like YouTube tutorials are really good. Like there's a bunch of good kettlebell instructors who've done good YouTube tutorials. Like with the article, I'm going to be embedding some YouTube videos on like how to do these movements.
Oh, that's cool.
So there's that kind of thing where think of it as like basically kettlebell movements, aside from like being an actual exercise, they're a skill, right? And so you practice your skills, and you get good at them after a while, right? And then if you really go down the kettlebell rabbit hole, you can get into like the whole kettlebell sport.
Oh, really? Right. The Russians. Yeah. That girl. Well, I like how versatile they are. You can do body, rows. Body rows?
Well, that's on the gymnastics.
No. When you
just a kettlebell row. Yeah, just a row.
Sorry, kettlebell row. Yeah. Right. You can use that. You can do a press. You can do a push and a pull. You can do a hinge. Yeah. You can do a squat. So you can do it all. You can do a carry. Right. You can do a carry. Yeah. So pretty much all those principles that we talked about, the fundamentals for what you want to cover off, you can do.
Yeah, and that's one of the things.
And we don't really use our dumbbells anymore. I only use it as in between weights.
I'll use the dumbbells when I'm pumping up my arms.
Yeah.
Like I'll put the blood flow restriction bands on, and I didn't do that in this period, but in this particular training. But when I'm doing a lot of pull-ups, I'll do a lot of high rep bicep and tricep work.
Yeah.
Because I find, aside from, obviously a bit of muscle work, I find it pumps so much blood into the elbows. It makes the pull-ups It's almost like prehab work for pull-ups for me. Just because I find like if I'm doing a lot of pull-ups, it irritates my elbows.
Yeah.
So
I have noticed getting back into this escalating density workout, my elbows start to bother me again a little bit.
On the rows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the rows, and I noticed when I was doing the swings, but I think it's because of the rows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you expect that if I haven't done them in a while?
Yeah, because you're getting a lot of volume in.
Yeah.
You know.
But it hasn't actually bothered me lately, which is good.
Yeah.
So just those little things.
Yeah, and if something starts hurting, stop doing it that day. You know, like I had a day last week where my index finger, like the first knuckle, was really sore. Mm-hmm. So I took it easy, and now it's fine.
Yeah, yeah. It's like when I start climbing again. You know, I need to be more consistent, but I try not to go more than 45 minutes for sure, just to start.
Yeah, because you just irritate the tendons.
Yeah.
Like, and that's something people need to bear in mind. It's like your muscles will get stronger faster than your connective tissue does. Right? So that's where I did 3 months with the same weight, right, before I went up. Like, I'm using the 28s now, doing a subtle variation of what I was doing before.
Yeah.
But
you think there'd be a drug for that?
What?
Helping the connective tissue.
Yeah, it's funny because you can take steroids and that'll help your muscles. But that's why bodybuilders get hurt all the time. You know? Because you can get real, or a lot of bodybuilders just do fluff and pump kind of training, like a lot of lightweight, high rep.
Yeah.
Because if they went as heavy as they could, as their muscles would support, their tendons would explode.
Yeah.
Right? Because the muscles just get way stronger than the connective tissue does. There is some peptides that I don't know if they'll help build the tendons, but they help recover from injuries quicker. And that's sort of one of those interesting fields, like the peptides, like melanotan 2. If you're not able to get out in the sun that much, it's like a peptide, like part of a chain of protein that you do an injection and you get a suntan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's funny because it's interesting the
way.
Is
that available in Canada?
Yeah.
How is it expensive?
I've never looked. So I don't know. But the thing that you run into, and it's funny how sort of these things work, because there's like a whole industry of peptides, like for recovery, for skin, because they're all partial proteins.
Okay.
That do activate different things in the body.
Yeah.
One of the things they found with melanotan was, aside from giving you a tan, it also turned to like skyrocket people's libido. So then they went, oh, well, not everybody wants a tan, so they just extracted the part. It's called like PT, peptide 141.
Yeah.
That basically gives you the libido boosting effects.
Yeah.
Without the suntan effects.
Yeah.
So it really is kind of fascinating, the things people are, we're on the cusp of a lot of really interesting, therapeutics that way. Things that'll speed up like joint injury healing, or potentially we might get into like tissue regeneration, like cartilage, things like that. So it, basically it's one of those things that I keep reading up on just to sort of see where it's going. But there's so many peptide fragments out there, because it's just little fragments of proteins that when you take a shot of them, it activates something, and because there's so many different things to activate, there's so many different little fragments out there that they're playing with.
Yeah.
It's really kind of fascinating.
Huh.
That is where you'll probably get the thing that builds the joints.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
So, I think that's what we've got for you today.
Yeah. And if anybody's got questions about it, like, my programming is remarkably simple, but at the same time, because like I'm only doing a handful of exercises each week. But still I've had people like, wait, okay, how does that work? you know, basically if you've got questions, send them in, like just go to our website, livewildradio.com.
Yeah.
And you can hit the contact us and it will come to us and we're happy to answer your questions.
Yeah.
If you send in enough, then we'll do another one of the fitness episodes where I just answer your questions. Because those have actually been a lot of fun.
Yeah, they have been.
So until next time.
Work hard.
Play dirty and, get to work.
Bye.